Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video I want to talk about whether PhD students can review papers and how to actually get friendly peer reviews. So if you don't know me, I'm a professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out to get through graduate school that I decided to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I possibly can. So I started doing these YouTube videos and answering all these questions that nobody else is answering and talking about, at least publicly anyways. And I also created this sort of sharing economy proofreading platform, still working on it. You can check it out. That's what reciprocity.com is all about. So first of all, can you, and oh, by the way, my surrounding is different right now. We're getting some new flooring put into our house. So I'm sitting outside enjoying the beautiful Florida weather with the birds chirping in the background. All right, so first of all, can PhD students review academic journals? Absolutely. I don't think that there's any rules at any journal that I've seen that would persuade PhD students from not reviewing at their journal. However, it's normally encouraged more towards a senior PhD student. The reason why it's not necessarily common for maybe people that are, junior in the process, their first and second year, you don't really know that much in terms of the content area in those areas. And then the second thing, you're usually really busy. So professors or other people that might ask you to review, they want to sort of reserve your time for the coursework. We just know that it's going to be really crazy busy. So, towards the senior levels, it's not uncommon to have graduate students to review for journals. But then, generally it is, it really is just depends on your skill level or sort of how people are impressed with what you're doing or how close you are in terms of a peer network, or maybe it's your immediate supervisor, for example, is on the editorial board of a journal. Then they might ask you to review for them, to do some extra work for them for that journal, just to get to get some experience with reviewing, because that's kind of part of our job, and as well to also help out the journal. And so you can get on the editorial board much more quicker if people know who you are on the editorial board, and then you'll get quickly into it because they just know your name, right? It's all about reciprocity. It's all about getting your name out there. Now, are PhD students going to be on the editorial staff of a journal? Highly unlikely that it's going to happen unless it is a really low-tier journal that it's just not as good as sort of the more the higher tier A journals. However, review those A journals. But usually what's happening is the editor's waiting until the PhD student or the particular PhD is more seasoned and they just know the content area a lot more and they've sort of proven themselves. Maybe their name keeps coming up in a conversation that they're doing really cool work. And so you might see at different stages people going on to different editorial boards. And a lot of it is sort of personal contacts. If somebody knows who you are, and if they are somebody you're close to, somebody that's on an editorial board, for example, in the same department, then it's highly likely that you might be invited to go on that editorial board. But, it all depends on what's going on and, how they view you in terms of a collegial person. There's all sorts of, squishiness with that, but generally it is, whether you are capable. So that's what they're going to be looking for, whether you're capable. And the second thing is whether you're a good person and, you're going to be responsive throughout the process. Because that's really what they're trying to do, is get people that are very, very responsive to get things through and that they're capable in doing good reviews. Now, so the tricky thing is getting friendly peer reviews. So this is a problem that I personally faced because I didn't want to ask a lot of people for peer review. So what is a friendly peer review? That is before you send it off to a journal. we're often encouraged to give or get feedback from many other people before you send your paper off. And it does help. I've done this on a regular basis, and normally I just ask friends and, other people that are close to me, I'll ask them. But I'm trying to build out, that's part of the reason why I'm building out this whole reciprocity platform, is to make it more explicit. So we have this sort of implicit network of friendly peer reviews and stuff like that happens. So I thought maybe it'd be really cool to build something that the whole proofreading aspect of it, but then encourage people to do peer reviewed before they actually go out and go through the normal review process. So please do check that out, the whole reciprocity.com. It's the E is written with a 3. And let me know whether in the comments below what I can do to improve it, to make it better, to make this whole process work much more efficiently, and we'll try to build that kind of stuff in. So if you're not going to go through that route and go through the friendly review process, so by the way, so how that whole works, you can either review for other people or give feedback for other people's papers, and you'll get credits for that, just like you would in the real world. We're just making it more explicit on the platform, and or you can just pay for it. Pay for credits, and then you can get your document reviewed from somebody else. So how do you do this in the regular world? Well, you just ask friends and family, or friends, maybe it's academics and stuff like that. And the reason why I just didn't feel comfortable asking people to get reviews. Now I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable because, I've earned a little bit of credibility, I guess. So now I'm not trying to do this pat on the own back, but, I earned a little bit more credibility, and I don't ask people all the time for favors. But when I do, it's, I'll ask, maybe it's a colleague of mine in the same department or something for, friendly peer review. But from what I've learned, that there's kind of different levels in terms of friendly peer review, and you might want to tailor it to what you want to in terms of sort of helping them out with getting their peer review done, but also not wasting a lot of your time. So the first one is, the normal sort of in-depth review where you go through every page in the document, and you give detailed feedback on all the different aspects within the paper. And you might either put comments on the paper itself or put comments after, and have sort of a list of things that they need to work on. That's really in depth. It's pretty time consuming, and that's probably more towards what you would do on a regular review. Now, the second one is a much more quicker sort of trick, and that is a review of the introduction and the abstract. And that might only take maybe it's an hour for the person to go through. And what you want to do is maybe ask several people to go through your abstract and introduction. What you are trying to do there is get the framing right. So the framing is how the story is crafted around the paper. And what that does is, if you get, maybe it's 3 different people, for example, to do a quick review of your abstract and introduction, and they all are saying the same thing, then you could probably say that you need to change substantial amounts of the paper in terms of the framing, and go back and reframe everything, which takes a lot of time. It's a lot of work, but at the same time, you're getting consistent ideas and sort of consistent, ways to sort of tell you what to do next from those 3 reviewers. It's probably a good sign that you're not going to make it through the review process right away. So you probably should go back to, the square one and redo the framing of the paper. And that really does help. In my experience, it helps a lot to go through this. And the sort of third thing that you could do is you just tell somebody, you just say, can I have a meeting with you? And I'd like to talk about this idea that I'm working on, and this is what I've been working on. And so it's really just a conversation about the idea that you're working on. And it might be 1 or 2 hours in terms of the conversation. And what you're looking for is maybe asking them for citations. What do they think about this direction? Maybe you can add this kind of hypothesis. You're looking for generation of ideas at that moment, and whether the framing actually makes sense. It's a lot more efficient. It's a lot more fun to do this kind of process where you're having much more of an interaction than it is for them to read through the paper. And so that might be useful early on in the process when you're working on this. Maybe it's you've already drafted a first rough draft of the theory and hypothesis and stuff, and so you just want to have a conversation with somebody else to get a framing right and an idea and what to do next. And that does help in terms of describing or understanding what you should go forward with what you're doing in your particular paper. All right, so in this video, what I did is answer the question, can PhD students review papers? Said absolutely, but it depends on personal networks. And I also explained how you can get friendly peer-reviewed, either using the whole reciprocity project, which I'm trying to build out, or describing different ways that I would go about of getting friendly peer review from friends that you're working with in the department, or maybe it is in academia in general. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. And take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.